Ndewo. Ihe niile ọ dịzikwara izi? All right, let's see. Okay. Let me see. Think let's see how should go over here. Okay. All right, we have a better view of our class. The TikTok, about to go, ma. Yeah. All right. Daalụ mmadụ niile. Okay, ka m jiri ohere nke a ji aka m nabatakwa n'ụfọdụ ndị mmadụ. Ka ị gwa ha na anyị ebidokwala anyị ebidogokwanụ. All right. Father G man, ndewo ndị niile na-emetụrụ anyị aka n'akara ịhụnanya. Rake, how are you? Welcome you. All right, Maazị Kingsley, daalụ. Ndewo kwa. Na Bọlachi ebe ọbụla unu nọ. Kedu ndị YouTube na-abatago? Unu mee ka anyị mara. Kedu ndị n'ebe a? Enu ka anyị mara. Emeka daalụ o. Kedu? Asala m chi nna m. Emeka underwater. Nna kekwanụ nke nọ n'okpuru mmiri. Udo ọdịkwa. Emeka ịsaala chi degharịa ya taa. Nke mbụ bụ na ọ bụ ajụjụ, nke abụọ bụ na ị ga-edesarịrị ya. Ị ga-edesarịrị ezigbo ole ewe. Emeka wee ga-ewe ya ikpe. Ọsịsa gị adị m mma. Emeka chọrọ ka idegharịa ihe ndị anyị dere taa. Ekele a mụ na gị kelere ugbu a, ngwa dee ya otu ahụ Emeka tupu gị idewe ihe ọzọ. Ị bọọla chi otu a, adị m mma otu a. Taa ka ị kwesịrị ide ya. Ka m pụọrọ gị n'ụzọ ka ị wee hụzie ya ọfụma. Ya nwa mere anyị ji abịa ebe a izu niile ka anyị mụta Igbo, ka anyị mụta ka esi agụ, ka esi ekwu, ka esi agụ na ka esi ede. We here every week to learn our language, to learn how to speak, how to read, and how to write. Good. Emeka ahụbeghị m n'ide arịala ya. Dezie ha niile ka ọ dị mma. Right. Thank you all. Thank you for joining Smart Boss. I want to start my opening statement. Today's class, the topic is something that somebody might question, and I am aware that it's a topic that may strike a question, and intentionally I put it that way because it's a topic that I also have wanted to discuss all the time. And while I created this class today, that is not a day of our conversation, regular conversation, that I invite people to come up to talk, is so that it will become one of the topics that we might also talk about on the first Monday of next month. So I wanted to be able to teach first. Then I would give us an opportunity um, in the next 2 weeks. I guess that's the first Monday of next month should be in the next 2 weeks or something, so that we'll be able to have conversation about it. Okay, Chigo, how are you? You're welcome. Emeka, ihe m si gị dezie, idezibe ya, ị ka na-ede ihe ọzọ. Anyway, I just wanted you to learn how to write a salachi, a bolachi, and then how to write ademma. We were able to deal with this topic, I guess it was last week or so, or last 2 weeks. All right, Adan Nadalo, I see you. So, as I continue in my opening speech, I wanted to say that I believe some of you, or many of you, may have heard this expression, I believe that many of you may have heard this expression, Igbo language is not complete. Can I see those who may have heard this expression? Can I see your hands? If you know you have heard, or you have even thought, or even yourself have expressed this expression, can I see your hand up? Can I see your hand up? Oh, the Congress, I didn't even know where it's coming from. Sorry. All right, smart boss, Ndeo. I didn't know it was blocking you people. I thought it was just on my own screen only. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Okay, how many of you have seen, heard, or used this expression? Igbo language is not complete. How many? Let me see your hand up. You've heard somebody say that, you've seen a person say that, or you have even thought that in the past. Igbo language is not complete. Kerundin on YouTube, why have you not indicated who you are? I'm not seeing you the way it is on TikTok. So please, those on YouTube, let me know as you come in. Kingsley has heard that. You have heard that Igbo language is not complete. If you have not heard, say I have not. But if you have, just put your hand up, please. That's what we're here to discuss today. Today is to discuss about Igbo language, not, forgive me for using to discuss about. Today is to discuss Igbo language, not to teach grammar. So I am providing this class for us to discuss Igbo language, and it will lead us to touch a few things grammatically, but I am not teaching a particular grammar of the language today. Okay? Okay, naanị otu onye bụ onye weliri aka elu na ọnụgo okwu a. Igbo language is not complete. Igbo amaka daalụ o, you're welcome. Naanị ofu onye wu onye mere ka anyị mara na ya anụgo na ndị mmadụ na-asị na Igbo language is not complete. I take it that the rest may not have heard this. But I want to say that this topic, was this topic was initiated to address a thought or an idea that has been going on for a long time, especially among Igbo speakers. Maọbụ n'ụlọ akwụkwọ, maọbụ ebe a na-ekwu okwu, maọbụ ebe a na-ede ihe. Ụfọdụ mgbe ị na-anụ ka mmadụ ga-asị na Igbo language, asụsụ Igbo ezughị ezu. Ha wee na-atọpụta izu ka enwere ike ime ihe enwere ike ime ka asụsụ Igbo wee zuo oke. Ọkwa ya? All right. So, if you have heard that, you know that it's a saying that has been around for a while. Now, the question is, how did we get to the point that people think that our language is not complete? What raised the issue? How did it come about? And as much as I cannot tell who was the first to think about that, neither can I tell the first occasion where a person may have expressed that Igbo language is not complete. What I can tell you is that it is a notion that some people share with other people, and it's a notion that has been around for a while. As a researcher and as a language teacher, I have also used my experience to sample opinions amongst people who may be amongst those that have this notion and opinion, to understand that the opinion is popular amongst people who are not completely literate in Igbo language. Ada, Dalo, oh, you're welcome. Chief Gluck, I welcome you. I have been able to understand that this is a notion that is popular amongst people who I can say that they are not completely literate in Igbo language. I would be surprised to hear language activists who have a training in Igbo language to also share this notion. I will be surprised. But now that we're here in this class, I have a question for you all as we begin. Do you think Igbo language is not complete? Ị chere na asụsụ Igbo ezughị ezu? Ebe ọbụla ị nọ, achọ m ka ị zaa m ajụjụ a. Ị chere na asụsụ Igbo ezughị ezu? Freeman, ndewo. Ọ bụrụ na taa bụ nke mbụ ị na-abịa na klaasị anyị, ana m anabata gị nke ọma. Oh, I'm not surprised that you asked the question. That shows that's your first time. I like it when people come, they will express themselves. My class is unique. The general people that join my class, 85% of them are Igbo young people who are living outside of Igbo land who do not understand Igbo well. That percentage includes other people who have affiliation with Igbo language, either by marriage or they have interest in learning Igbo language. This is the people I teach every week. The other 25% or 15% are amongst people who speak Igbo fluently. I'm teaching people who have the desire to learn their language and get enculturated, or to learn the language they are now affiliated with. Good. And thank you for your understanding. Mana n'agbanyeghị nke ahụ, ana m agbalị ike m ịsụ Bekee na asụkwa Igbo. Some conversations I extend it in English, some I extend it in Igbo. Ndewo, Freeman, Dion, Justice. Mana aha gị niile ọcha aha Bekee. Ị nwere aha Igbo, Freeman? Biko gị dee ya ebe ahụ. All right. Okay. Ndị YouTube, anaghị m ahụ ihe unu na-ede taa. Nwebụ onye dere m aha ya na YouTube. What is going on? Who are on YouTube? Do you hear what I say at all? Unu na-anụ ihe m na-ekwu na YouTube? Okay. Pachi. Pachi ndewo. Pachi. Aga m achọ ka I would like you to write your greeting well. The first one is ndewo. The second one you wrote is kedo ka imere. Pachi, I would like you to write it this way, okay? And then, if you are Igbo, can you please share your Igbo name? Ndewo Maazị Emeka, ekelere m gị. All right, Pachi daalụ o. Chukwuebuka, ole ya nụ, nwa afọ Igbo chara acha. Ya dịrị gị na mma, Chukwuebuka. Ndewo o, daalụ. All right, nke mbụ ndewo a na-ede ya ụta. Nke abụọ bụ kedu ka ị mere. That's how you write those. All right. Good. You even wrote your dalu very, very well. Sema, semaj or semai. It's na hagibo obiora. Ndewo obiora. Where are you joining us from? And Pachi too, where are you joining us from? Okay. Dalu no. Semaj obiora in Canada. Dalo. There, in Asukwu Igbo, do you speak Igbo at all? Pachi no na Chicago, Chukwuebuka no na Chicago, Emeka, Atlanta. Okay. Chukwuebuka, ọzọkwa, ihe I kwesịrị ide ebe ahụ bụ anọ na Chicago. All right, Obiora ndewo na ị na-asụ Igbo ọfụma o. Ya dịkwara gị na mma. Okay. Wire money na-efe enyi ụmụafọ Igbo ahụ nọ na TikTok efe enyikwa. Wire money gịnị bụ ezigbo aha gị? Wire money daalụ na-ebu a abụọ. Daalụ onye nkụzi. Daalụ. Idetere onye nkụzi gị. Ndewo wire money. Even though you can also write it together. That's onye nkụzi. Okay. All right. I welcome you all, those Igbo sons and daughters joining us from across the world. Okay, so Obinodowu. Oh, I didn't know. Wire money ahagebo okudele. Ndewo okudele. With that, I'm Igbo onye Anambra. more or less, right? Okay. Last week we talked about a little bit about names, how our names, where our names came, and all of that, how to identify our Igbo names. All right. I don't know. Once again, YouTube people, you've not indicated what is going on today. I do want to ensure that my network, YouTube network is strong and that you can hear me well. I don't know. Why am I Bonye? All right. Okay. There we go. Kedu ihe isi aha gị bụ ka ha bịa na-akpọ gị? Okay, Okudele. All right. Eunice in Chan, I welcome you. Ability Dalo, thanks for sharing the live. All right, let's go back. Rose Antwi, you're welcome. So this class is very useful for young Igbo people who want to inculturate or re-inculturate wherever you live. Ndị nne na nna anyị ọtụtụ n'ime ha kụziri anyị Igbo, ha mee ka anyị mata Igbo mgbe anyị na-eto eto. If you are in that category that you were not inculturated, you didn't acquire your language as a young person growing up, this class is for you. And this class is brought to you by Omenka App LLC. All right, while you are here, please share the class and go ahead, continue to tap on the screen for us. By that, you are promoting the reputation of this class, both online and on YouTube, so that every week, more Igbo sons and daughters will join us. Okay? Right. Ekelele mono. Right. Isiokwu nke anyị ga-eleba anya taa bụ nke si asụsụ Igbo ezughị ezu. Nke nwere ike si na Bekee, Igbo language is not complete. And I started by saying, I have heard people use this expression, and this expression has been around for a while. Ajụkwara m unu anụtụgo ka ndị mmadụ kwuru ụdị okwu a. Ụfọdụ ndị mmadụ wee sị, ndewo Adaeze Dunya, thanks for indicating that you are on YouTube. The rest of the people on YouTube have not indicated who they are. It's unusual. Right. You're welcome, Adaeze Dunya. Now, and I was saying, giving a history of this, Nenufa Dalo, are you Igbo? I see you, and thanks for following. This expression, I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to teach this, looking at the different levels of language teaching and language learning, and as it concerns Igbo. Okay, Uche, you are on YouTube. All right. The first question Nenufa says, how can you tutor my 3-year-old in Igbo? Where are you, Nenufa, and what is your name? Are you married to Igbo? Dosiano asks, is Keduka Imere respectful to ask adults? Yes. It is not a respect-sensitive greeting. Yes, it's appropriate for you to ask adults, Keduka Imere. But I just want to say that you don't see an adult and say, Keduka Imere. Okay, an adult can see you and say, Keduka Imere. Doziano, when I got him nego. Nekele Igbo na ahụ okenye ga-esi ya Keduka Imere maọbụ kedu. The reason is because you start by thank you. You greet an adult or an elderly person by calling them their respectful name, not their by first name. Okay, Nenufa, I will answer your question in a few minutes. Let me finish with Doziano's question. Okay, greeting an elder, you usually will call day For those who use they. For those who use that, da, da, nai, namuku, nemuku. In this generation, we can as well use auntie, uncle. If he's a title person, you can call chief, nze, also, and all of that. You don't call the elderly ones by their first name or by their name. But it is still very relative. It depends on the relationship you have with the person, whether it's remote or close or whatever. Now, so as a younger person, you might not be the person to say Keduki Mere first. Okay, thank you, Sekufos. Thank you. So it might be the elder person that will ask first. You can also ask back. Still all depends on the relationship you share with this person. But yes, it is appropriate to ask an elderly person, Keduki Mere. Ndewo. Dalono. Thank you, Sekufos, for the multiple golden necklace and hat and all of it. Beatrice, o teela m nọ na-ajụ ndị nọ na YouTube, unu niile agbachie m nkịtị, zoo na azụ kamera, nsogbu adị, ọ dịka unu chọrọ ịkọmite hate speech na this class today. Ndị nọ na YouTube, you don't want to show yourself, right? Unu eweliwe, nsogbu adị. Right, Nenufa, I may not. Okay, Dalo, Dewo. Right now, we have classes that you can register your children if you go to our website, www.ihad.org rather. But we also have Omenka app, which is an available resource for everybody learning Igbo. Okay? One sec. And teacher in the class. 4 o'clock for the kids, the instrumentation, and then 5:30 for, yeah. Emecha, I'll call back. So, we also have Omenka app, which anybody can use. So Nenufa, download Omenka app or ask your children to download it. But as I'm talking to you, we are creating special classes for all beginners on the app. And in the next 3 months or 4, the new Omenka app will be launched. So it is good that you have the app now, so that when the new app is launched, it will just upgrade, it will update rather on your device. So the new Omenka app is being worked upon, which the reason we are doing that is to create a lesson plan for every beginner, including 3-year-old. But the challenge is that not everybody, sorry, I think I missed, see me forgetting my website. It's www.ihave.gov. Okay, so sometimes not everybody can use an independent learning process effectively. So that's why we also provided a one-on-one. So I have a provision for one-on-one. If you do want a teacher assigned to you, in addition to the other resources we have, please go register yourself or your child on our website. We have additional resources. We have, it's today 20th, thank you. See me thinking that we're still on 19. Thank you, Lewuga George. Lewuga George. What is Lewuga? Is it Igbo? George, what's What language is that name, please? No problem, Nenu Fadalo. We are here every Monday at this time that you came to this class, 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. Nigerian time. Ogoni, all right, I now know. Thank you. Ogoni, it's interesting that you are here. Lewuga George. Please, you are welcome to join us in learning Igbo. All right, so if you are interested in the one-on-one, please go ahead and put your name there. Right, let's go back to the topic. I will try to continue to look at your questions and possibly answer your questions while I teach, especially those on TikTok that are writing a lot more than those on YouTube. This coming Saturday, let me not forget this, we have a program that will be starting 6 p.m. Eastern time. That program will be streamed on YouTube live. It is Omenka Igbo Cultural Festival, and we have series of performance that you will be interested in watching live as we produce the work. And we have lots of cultural activities, lots of presentations that people are going to be learning from. So we might not produce all the video at the same time if we do not stream live on YouTube or Instagram. I believe we might be streaming live on YouTube, not on TikTok because children are involved and TikTok rules are against having children on live events. So if you are chanced, 6 p.m. Eastern time, I believe is much late in Nigerian time when that program will be happening. Please join us and be in that program. Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be live on YouTube. So if you're not following us on YouTube, do follow us on YouTube. That is going to be wonderful. All right. Beginners class for Lewuga or whosoever you want the class for, go ahead. But if you do not need one-on-one as per one-on-one, Omenka app is creating beginners lesson plan for everybody that everybody can use, whether adult or young people. And that version of the app is coming in the next few months. So I encourage you to have the app ready on your device so that the updates will come to your app when the update is made. But currently, we have resources that you can use in learning how to pronounce Igbo words on the app. We are having that currently. So you still have a whole lot. And then for those of you who want to share their journey in learning Igbo language, please join our Instagram group. Sorry, our Telegram group. The bio of Omenka app on TikTok has a link that will lead you to join the Omenka Igbo Action Group on Telegram, where we are gathering people to have conversations after the class. And we are doing this as a gradual process. And very soon it's going to be a very huge active network for everybody. Ihe anyị na-eme n'ụlọ ọrụ Omenka app bụ inyere ụmụafọ Igbo aka ebe ọbụla unu nọ ka ha nwee ike ịmụta asụsụ ha. Ọ bụghị naanị na omenala, asụsụ dị mkpa. Ọtụtụ n'ime unu ndị na-abịa klaasị a bụ ndị maara na mgbe ha na-eto, Igbo abụghị ihe a kụziri unu. Ebe ọbụla ibi taa, ma ị mụọla nwa, ma ị bụ onye nna, ma ị bụ onye nna, uche gị dịrị ya na ọ bụrụ na ịmụta ya asụsụ gị nke ọma, mara ka esi ekwu ya, ka esi agụ ya na ka esi ede ya, ị gaghị akụzinwuru ụmụ gị. Enweghị ihe ị ga-enyefe n'aka ụmụ gị. Ihe ọ sọkwara gị sụọ Bekee, sụọ Oyibo. Ihe ị bụ nwa afọ Igbo. Ma ị nwee asụsụ n'ime gị, ma ị maghị Igbo, sụkwa Bekee ahụ sụruo England, Canada, lọghachite America, gaa Nigeria. Ị gaghị awụ onye Bekee. Ị bụ nwa afọ Igbo. Ọ bụrụ na ị nweghị Igbo n'ime gị, ị gaghị enyefewu ụmụazị gị ihe n'aka nke ga-enyere ha aka ịga n'ihu na-abụ ụmụafọ Igbo site na ịsụ asụsụ ha. Otu ụzọ mmadụ na-eji egosi na ya bụ onye si ebe a, onye ekere dịka onye dị otu a, bụ asụsụ ha. Ya nwa mere Chineke kere mmadụ niile jiri asụsụ chọọ obodo ọbụla mma. Asụsụ Igbo eji chọọ ndị Igbo mma bụ otu n'ime ihe ụmụafọ Igbo na-eji eme nganga, eme ịnyanga. Ma iji ya asụsụ gị mee ịnyanga, ọ asụsụ ndị ọzọ ka ị ga-eji eme ịnyanga. Ọ eziokwu na anyị ahụla na ọtụtụ ụmụafọ Igbo bụ ndị anyị na-ahụ ka ha na onye ọbụla na-eme mpompo ka o si mara Igbo, ka o si mara Bekee. It is a shameful thing that some of the times you see Igbo speakers who know little to nothing about their language boasting how much of English they know. Shame on you. If you are old or young, I do not care. What I say is what? Shame on you. Especially if you are an adult person, an advanced person. The excuse of my parents did not teach me is one excuse. I accept that. But right now, you have an opportunity to teach yourself because you have everything that will help you to get enculturated. You can't be a better speaker of another person's language. You see how Freeman came in and heard that I was speaking English. I was like, how can you teach Igbo with English? And I explained to him why I speak English in my Igbo class. I do not take pride that I'm speaking English in my Igbo class. But I have a commitment to reach the target community for whom I stand here every week to teach. If speaking English in my Igbo class is something that will make me to help you to get enculturated, I am doing that. I have decided to do that. Mana ịchọ ka ikwu okwu n'Igbo, ị ga-ebu ụzọ mụtagodo Igbo. Ya nwa mere m ji na-enye gị ohere ka ị wee were ohere ahụ mụta Igbo. Ya nwa mere m ji na-ewepụta ohere m n'oge m na-akụzi ihe kwa izu niile. Thank you, Lewuga. I hope I'm pronouncing your name very well. Thank you, George. Okay? All right. So I appreciate you if you have been committed to attending this class for a very long time and you've been here every week and you have commitment to, all right, great. And you have commitment to making this class useful to you. I also extend that grace to our non-Igbo speakers, non-Igbo brothers and sisters who have interests, who have shown very huge interest in learning our language because of their relationship with Igbo. People like Lewuga, who is Ogoni. People like so many of our African-American brothers and sisters who come to this class every day. Every week. I do not take that for granted, and I cannot. So please, let us join hands and enculturate ourselves and make sure that our language keeps growing. Okay? All right. When you hear a person say this, Igbo language is not complete, what is the first thing that should go into your mind? And what is the question that you should ask a person like that? Mgbe ị nụrụ na mmadụ sị asụsụ Igbo ezughị ezu, gịnị bụ ihe mbụ kwesịrị ịgbata n'obi gị? Gịnị bụ ajụjụ ị kwesịrị ịjụ ya? Number one, my first question will be, in what way? In what way? Or I will say how. And if I want to ask him or her in our Nigerian way, I will say, how kwano? How come Igbo language is not complete? Or I will ask as in how? Fine. Obinna will say, what do you mean about that? What do you mean about that? You know, yes, that's the first question. So how come? How come Igbo language is not complete? Okay. What do you mean? But there are some people that when they hear such a thing, an expression, they say, okay, or, oh, it's true. Right. Now, my question would be in what way or how? And why would I ask these questions? Because I am informed, because I am a trained language teacher, and because I would like to know what the person means, just like Obinna will say, what do you mean about that? Abụ m nwafọ Igbo, ana m asụ Igbo, ana m akụzi Igbo, ama m ihe gbasara asụsụ m. Ya nwa mere m nwere ike iji jụọ ya n'ogo nke ịmata kedu ihe ị na-akọwa. Ị nwere ike ịkọwatatụrụ m nke ọma. Ọ ihe m ga-ajụ. Ya nwa mere m ga-eji ajụ ụdị ajụjụ a. Okay? Right. How? And why I will ask this question, I will be expecting the person's answer to be, I mean, I would think they would be the craze. They were the craze now. Okay, Beatrice will ask, who sent you? Who sent you that one? Now, who sent you message? Okay. But for the purposes of this class, my question will be based on the fact that I would want to hear the person give me the answer that will support a particular level or aspect of language. Every language can be described according to their sound system. Can we make it for phonology? Or that's which is also, phonology. I think Igbo also say phonology. Or ọmụmụ ụda asụsụ, okay? Ịgafe n'ogo nke ọzọ wee bụrụ word. I will use the word system, which they call morphology. Mburogu. Ịgafe n'ogo nke ahụ gị nweta syntax. The language syntax, of course, let me say, sentence level, which they call syntax. Okay? YouTube, Judge, all my classes, all my teachings, they find themselves on YouTube. So go to YouTube and follow Omenka app on YouTube, okay? All right, thank you for that question. Ikafe no gunga sentence level ahiro, okay? Ikafe no gunga gi nwetezi nke ndị bekee na-akpọ nghọta, let me see, meaning level, which they call semantics. nghọta dị n'okwu. Nghọta dị n'okwu. Ịgafe n'ogo nke ahụ, gị gazie n'ogo that they will call, let me say, I don't want to use, okay, I'll still use the term. Beyond sentence. Okay, let me use. Cultural. Technically, they could call it pragmatics. Okay. Daalụ nụ mmadụ ndị na-abata mgbe m na-ede ihe, ekelekwa m unu. Ndị na-emetụrụ anyị aka n'akara ịhụnanya, ike agwụla unu. Ndewo usekwu food. Ya dịrị gị na mma. Ya dịrị gị na mma. Ndị na-emetụrụ anyị aka n'akara ịhụnanya, ike agwụla unu. Gaanụ n'ihu. Chukwu gọzie unu. N'ihi na akwụkwọ nsọ sị ndị na-agha mkpụrụ, ike agwụla unu n'ihi na unu ga-anọ n'ụtụtụ. Unu echefukwala ịga n'ehihie ma ọ bụ n'abalị. Mgbe unu na-agba mkpụrụ n'okoro mmiri, unu gbakwa ya n'ụtụtụ, gbakwa ya n'abalị. Ya nwa mere mkpụrụ ga-eji amị nke ọma. Biko ike agwụla unu. Ya bụ na mgbe anyị na-eme nke a, ị na-eme igosi mmasị na ọ bụrụ na taa bụ nke mbụ ị na-abịa na klaasị a, na ị na-amụta ihe, na ọ bụ ofu ebe ị kwesịrị ịbịa wee wepụta ohere gị ma ọ bụ tụfuo oge gị wee mụta ihe. Because you are benefiting from it. Lottie, darling, you are welcome. Darling, thanks for following us. So it is important that we improve the repetition of this class online. Every day we are here. There's no day that it is not important. The reason is because we are yet to reach 100 of Igbo sons and daughters who are supposed to be here in this class. Chiamaka Ndewo, Chiamaka Daalukwa. Right, so I welcome you all and I encourage you to keep tapping on the screen as you learn. Let us improve our class. Oge nsogbu, ọ bụrụ na ihe anyị na-eme bụ ihe dị mma bara uru kwesịrị ka anyị mee ya, mana ọtụtụ ụmụafọ Igbo amaghị na enwere klaasị dị otu a na-aga n'ihu kamgbe ọnwa ole na ole nke na-eme kwa izu kwa izu. Chiamaka Ndewo na-enwe abụọ. Nindi wi-o. Nindi wi-o. Otu aka eji asụpe Ndewo. Daalụkwa. Right, I welcome you all. Now, my question will be based on expectation that the person who made this comment would answer me indicating what they mean from any level of this structure by which we learn a language. Ọ bụrụ na isi na Igbo ezughị oke, kedu n'ụdị ọ n'ogo ụda, ọ n'ogo mkpụrụ okwu, ka ọ n'ogo ahịrịokwu, ka ọ n'ogo nghọta dị n'okwu, ka ọkwa n'ogo nghọta dị n'omenala dị n'okwu. Ya ka ọ pụtara. If you think that Igbo language is not complete, is it about the sound system of the Igbo? Is it about the word system of the Igbo? Is it about the sentence level and structure of Igbo? Is it about the meaning level of Igbo? Daniel Wade, you're welcome. Thanks for being in this class. I believe you have an affiliation with Igbo. This is a class for you. You are welcome, Daniel. All right. If a person is able to answer this question from any aspect of this, well, That will give you the opportunity to know how to address the question. If a person is not able to answer, that will now also make you to understand the person is speaking completely from a point of ignorance, from a position of ignorance. De nze dalu o, ndewo nwere e abo, nindi e wi o. Okay? You write it nindi e wi o. Just the day, like the day that is in your name. Okay? Right. Let us always learn to write Igbo correctly. Now,
Mark, come to the front desk to put in, come to the front desk to put a table in the lobby.
all right. Sorry, that was an announcement for other programs going on at the center. This is a government center, and we are sharing this facility. Happily, this class was approved to be part of a class that goes on in the government facility. And when I announced it a few weeks ago, it was a happy thing. So, Dalum, Madunile, Ndina Batana class here, you are part of a very important class going on. Okay? All right. So, if a person is not able to answer this question based on all these itemized structures, levels of language learning, they are speaking from a point of ignorance. And I am empowering you today, in case you hear this tomorrow, in case anybody, presents themselves, expresses this before you tomorrow, you now know how to address your question. Now, I will take this one after the other and see how far I'm going to be able to analyze what I mean before the end of today's class. Van Don, Ndeo, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Right. At the level of sound system, the language is being described for the sounds or about with the sounds that it carries or it has. Okay. Igbo sound system is different from English sound system. At the level of word, Igbo words they have a structure and they have a format that you must, write them. When you miss anyone, you've made a mistake, right? Just like Nde Batarano Hey Kelem Ndewo. Some of you, when you write your Ndewo or Dalo, you wrote it wrongly. And I am able to correct you to say Ndewo, your Ndewo is not correct. The person wrote for me Kedu Kimere, and I said, no, that's not how you write it. Look at how you write it, but they didn't take the correction. They didn't rewrite it for me to see. That's what we do. That's a word structure, right? At the level of sentence, the Igbo language observes a particular structure. And I want to share something, an experience I had a couple of days ago on a WhatsApp group. Ọ bụghị mgbe niile ka ị na-ahụ nwa afọ Igbo na-eji Igbo ede ihe. For those of you that have social media activity, WhatsApp especially, Nigerians, we use a lot of WhatsApp, right? Not all the time you see an Igbo person writing in Igbo, okay? The reason is because more than the number you can imagine, Igbo speakers are illiterate in Igbo writing, okay? So many Igbo speakers do not know how to write Igbo. So as a language teacher, as an Igbo teacher, I am very observant to know when a person writes in Igbo. It's either that the Igbo is correct and I commend them, I say, yay, or the Igbo is not correct, and then the whole thing will get into my nerves and I become uncomfortable. And most of the times I will find a way to engage in a conversation with the person. So this guy wrote his things mostly in Igbo and then added English. I commended him for doing that. But I also told him that, and in as much as you decided to write in Igbo, you didn't write your Igbo correctly. So what I was observing was a sentence. His sentences didn't follow the sentential structure of Igbo. And I put up that correction, and as usual, and as I also expected, he became defensive and started writing very long sentences now. So I kind of carefully changed that conversation in English to make him comfortable to express himself. This is a group, so I am careful when I am addressing a person in a group so that I do not become personal or something. So I changed my writing in English and to see he will follow me in English or something. He did follow a little bit and wrote a lengthy thing defending that what he wrote was dialects and that he wrote proverbs. That was the one that got me very well. That he was writing in proverbs. That it doesn't matter if you know Igbo very well, not everything that he wrote that you should be able to understand. Oh my god! So I knew that's okay. I didn't expect less. So and then I now wrote back in Igbo. Because I now know that he's been defensive. I went back, I wrote back in Igbo to torture him the once. And I wrote everything I wrote in Igbo. And then he now wrote another lengthy thing. Now, after reading it, I didn't even know what to answer him again. I like, no, I can't engage in in this. I wanted to start, responding and like, no, I do not like to pick on people on groups. So, oh my god! If you lengthy things this guy wrote to defend himself, that he was writing proverbs and dialects, that it doesn't matter that I know Igbo very well, that I shouldn't understand. Not be small wisdom. All right, so on the mekare, ọtụtụ ụmụafọ Igbo na-eme ụmụ ihe ndị a, ndị ha dee Igbo ịchọ ka ịgwa ha n'ihe idere idezicha anya nsogbu adịghị ọdụ ka kere ọgụnwa ka ama anọ. I mean, this is now whether he wrote all those events or not, all I cared about that your sentence structure did not follow the sentence structure of Igbo language. Simple. What you wrote as a sentence in Igbo does not tally with the sentence structure of Igbo language. The reason is because Igbo language has a sentence structure, which is different from your English that you're speaking or writing, that you may be boasting to be an expert in, right? Igbo has a different sentence structure. Mgbe ọbụla idere ihe ideteghị ya n'ụzọ n'ụkpụrụ ahịrịokwu Igbo, ideteghị ya, idejọrọ ya, idezighi ya, idehiere ya. That is it. So I was calling his attention to know if he was going to understand or at least realize. And why I wrote back in Igbo, after I had written in English first, I wrote back in Igbo to see if I could help him understand how I wrote all that I wrote, to see if he could pick up from there. But he did not. He was beclouded by his defense. Now, the problem, and my question is always, do we do this kind of nonsense in English? Igbo, ụzọ ndị a niile anyị na-eji ejiri asụsụ anyị egwu egwuregwu eme ihe akaja. Anyị ọ na-emebu ụdị a na asụsụ bekee nwa asụsụ nwa ndị ọcha wetara anyị jizi mere asụsụ anyị. Odoziakụ Chinwe daalụ. O Tony Chuks ekele m gị, ahụla m unu, ndewonu, unu bịara n'azụ oge, ya dịrị unu na mma, daalụ. Do we do this with English? Do we intentionally write something in English and decide that whether you understood it or not? I wrote my own English. Oh my God. Have you ever seen a person defending the English they wrote to say, yes, you may not understand it, but it's my own English, it's my proverb, it's my dialect of English? Do we do this? The answer is no, we don't. The level at which we joke with our language, Igbo, and as well become very defensive of it. If I engage this guy again, this guy would also write again and possibly continue to defend. And the other thing that might come up, he might become personal and maybe start to attack me, which I do not want to, have from him. But that's what the next thing that will happen. I have hardly engaged in a friendly conversation with anybody that wrote Igbo incorrectly and they admitted it. So asụsụ Igbo nwere ụkpụrụ esi ede ahịrịokwu ya. The language has a structure, a sentence structure, of which whatever you wrote, if you did not write it according to that sentence structure, it is not correct. So my question would be for this person, if Igbo language is not complete, is it because you are unable to write the language well? Is it the sentence? You are not able to write the sentence well, and you think it is because it's not complete. Odasusu, sound system, mkpụrụ morphology, ahịrịokwu, the sentence. Is it going to be on the meaning, which of course I would least expect? Yes, it will be on the meaning of a word. Okay? More often than not, I have seen that people who bear the notion that Igbo language is not complete are speaking that from the world system. They have that notion based on their notion, their idea that not every word they find in English has an Igbo equivalent. I'm sorry, Chuks. Sorry for your network. Ụfọdụ mgbe m na-anụ na mmadụ ga-asị na asụsụ Igbo ezughị ezu, ana m aghọta na ọ dị ka na ogo nke mkpụrụ okwu ka ndị na-ekwu okwu a na-agbakwasị okwu ekwu ya. Ndị na-ekwu na asụsụ Igbo ezughị ezu, ahụrụ m na ogo mkpụrụ okwu ka ha na-eji ekwu ya. And now we are going to, because of that idea, we are going to leave off all other aspects of the language learning or language and look at the word system of the Igbo. And so, I'm going to wipe off this. Ugbu a, ọ bụrụ na ọ bụ eziokwu na onye na-ekwu okwu a ihe ọ na-ekwu maka mkpụrụ okwu Igbo, if my assumption is correct that a person Making this statement, excuse me, my computer. All right. I forgot to plug in my computer. Almost blanked out. All right. If my notion is, if the idea is correct that a person making this sentence expression is basing their idea on the word system of the language, now we have a conversation. All right, Obinna Odogwu, ịgbalịrị imere nke ọma. Nna m gịnị bụ LIB? Ịma na aga m ụlọ akwụkwọ, aga m school. Emege kọwatatụrụ anyị ihe bụ LIB. All right. If the person is talking about the word system of Igbo, we now can begin to talk about something. The next question for me, for the person will be, what do you mean by Igbo language is not complete at word level? I will still repeat that question again. Nonodo dianga. How? Let's go ahead and look at possible answers that you might get. The person asking this or making this sentence may be because they have expected to see a word like computer, right? Or when you're beginning with computer, you were saying no computer. A word like I wrote now, phonology. We're saying the word phonology on its own without saying it like it's in English. They might cite other examples where they thought or expected to have an equivalent of English word in Igbo. Now, if this is the person's answer or response, as a language teacher, I would also know that this person is speaking from a very strong, ignorant position. This person is also speaking from a point of ignorance. And then what will happen? They need to be taught. But let me address this. Mkpụrụ okwu Igbo nwere ndị bụ mkpụrụ okwu ọkpụ Igbo. We can have from here asụsụ ọbụla nwere mkpụrụ okwu nke ị nwere ike ikewa n'ụzọ atọ dị ụta. Every language has a word system that you can categorize in this format. Igbo language is not different, right? And what is this? Okwu could be translated as core Igbo words. Okumbite could be translated as borrowed words. Okwarara could be translated as coined or adapted words. And my language and yours that's what we're trying to understand. Obinna Odogwu. He says, can every English word be translated in Igbo, or does Igbo, or doesn't have certain words? That's what we're trying to understand. Okay? First of all, the core components of words of my language, your language, Igbo language, can be looked at in these ways. Okwu ahụ ị na-achọ, ọ bụ okwu ọkpụ Igbo? Gịnị ga-eme ya okwu ọkpụ Igbo? Ọ bụrụ na ọ bụ okwu nke sitere n'asụsụ Igbo, nke Igbo nwere, ma ọ bụghị okwu sitere n'asụsụ Igbo, ya bụ okwu ebitere n'asụsụ ọzọ, okwu mbite. O nwere ike bụrụ Yoruba, Hausa, Ogoni, Ibibio, Efik, ma ọ bụ English. O nwere ike bụrụ German, ma ọ bụ okwu ndị ọzọ, asụsụ ndị ọzọ. But it is a borrowed word. If it is not just a completely borrowed word, it could be a modified, it could be an adapted, it could be a coined word. And in the process of language growth, words move around from one level to the other. A borrowed word might end up becoming a core word and change its nature. A coined word, an adapted word, might end up as a core word with time. But a core word does not become a borrowed word, nor does it become a coined word. Any of this can end up being this with time, but it might take generations. It might take several years. Okwu ọkpụ bụ okwu sitere n'asụsụ Igbo. Ị ga-asị na ya na Igbo soro pute. Ọ bụrụ na ya na Igbo, asụsụ Igbo esoghị pute, ya bụ na ọ bụ okwu sitere n'Igbo. Igbo sopụtara ya, mụpụta ya. Okwu ebitere ga-abụ okwu na-anọghị n'Igbo, mana n'ihi na e nwere mkpa iwere okwu ahụ n'asụsụ ọzọ ji mejupụta okwu dịka a na-ekwu okwu n'Igbo, wee bite ya n'asụsụ ọzọ. Okwu ndị arọrọ arọ nwere ike ịbụ okwu ekwuru ekwu, mkpụrụ okwu n'ebe ahụ arọpụta ya. O nwere ụfọdụ okwu dịka ndị na-akụ egwu ma ọ bụ ndị na-emepụta ihe onyonyo elu nkwago, like Nollywood actors and all that. They most of the times give or lend expressions to the language, such coined words. There was a time the expression ebano newu, ebano is not one word. It's more like a clause. People could call it a phrase. There's a time the word apama newu. Okwu ahụ bụ okwu arọpụta, but it later faded away. Okay. Somebody wrote something I wanted to read, but they deleted it. So, now, this is what you are going to expect to see or hear from a person who made a statement or a comment like this. If you are looking at the word system of Igbo, the question you ask yourself is, the word you are looking for, is it a core Igbo word? If that word is not in Igbo because the word is not culturally Igbo, then it could have been borrowed. Or over time, Igbo people could have coined a word similar to that, and before you know it, it gradually grows into a core Igbo word. What will make a word you expect it to be in Igbo to not be there, but you see it in English you speak? First of all, for you to think that Igbo word is not complete or Igbo word system is not complete, you are thinking in English. You are doing what? Thinking in English. You are expecting for Igbo language to correspond to your English that you are speaking. Ị na-eche uche n'asụsụ ndị iti ma ọ bụrụ ndị mmadụ. Iji asụsụ ndị ọcha atụnyere asụsụ Igbo wee na-eche uche na ọ bụ asụsụ Igbo na-amụta n'aka asụsụ Bekee. That is wrong. Thank you, Obinna. Obidemoto na asala ajụjụ gị. Okay? You are thinking in English for that to happen. Okay? Right. Now, you are able to think in English because you are bilingual. In asụsụ abụọ dịka ndị ndị ọcha wepụtara Bekee. But the challenge, the problem we have as Igbo speakers, which is one of the things this class wants to solve, wants to resolve in all our heads and hearts and mind. Wow, Nechi Kedo, it's been like ages. Thanks for the galaxy. There, Nechi Kedo, no common sense. Right. So what this class intends to solve, to resolve, and to, discredit in our head is the fact that Igbo language is not complete in any way. It is absolute fallacy. The other thing we want to achieve is to help young Igbo speakers to learn how to think in Igbo when the concept of conversation is in Igbo. Your thought pattern is designed in a way it can handle more than one language at the same time, so long as you learned both languages or those languages and you speak them. Your thought pattern should be able to handle the processing of information of those languages that you speak separately. And when you have interference, there's something they call interference. Yoketia, how are you? It's good to have you in class. This is the class. This is the topic today, okay? Right. If you are speaking English, it is not out of place for English to interfere with your Igbo or vice versa. But what I am trying to tell us, adult people who come to my class, is it is possible and it's expected that your thought pattern be divided across the languages that you speak, that you can handle the thought processing of one concept happening in one language and the other concept in another language at different times. Yabuna. Ọ bụrụ na okwu a na-ekwu bụ Igbo, ọ gbasara Igbo, ọ bụ okwu Igbo, ọ bụ maka Igbo, uche gị kwesịrị isi na Igbo pụta. Uche gị kwesịrị isi na Bekee pụta, gị bịa gbara ya ụgbọ, bịa tụgharịa ya na Igbo, bịa chọọ ka ị mara ka esi ekwu ya n'Igbo. Mgbe ahụ, ọ bụrụ na mkpụrụ okwu ndị a na-eji ekwu okwu, ya ọ bụ na nke isi na Bekee bịa chọọ ka iwefeta ya n'Igbo, ịhụ okeke ga-ebuga ya n'asụsụ Igbo, gị wee sị, oh, I don't know how to say it in Igbo. Igbo language is not complete, y'all. It is your inability to find transportation for that word. You won't find. You will not find. Because each and every niile na-asụ na Bekee ka ị ga-asụ n'Igbo. My pronouncing words is my wahala, especially in English, and that's my first asusu. Igbo comes easier. Okay, if Igbo comes easier, beautiful. I don't know what you mean, Obinna, by your pronouncing words as your wahala. And if it is in English, thank you, Nechi. I was thinking it was going to be in Igbo, but I'm glad it is in English. Like you easily pronounce words or think about words in Igbo if I understood you well. Right. Now, we are living in a world where we have been exposed. There were user gịnị bụ aha gị? Igbo anyị dere atọgbuo m. Daalụkwa user. Igbo gị tọrọ m o. All right. Ikenna daalụ. Ndewo. So you and I, ụmụafọ Igbo ndị n'ebe a, anyị nọ n'ụwa ebe emere ka asụsụ abụọ bụrụ ihe anyị na-eji ekwu okwu taa. Ọ bụrụ na ịmụtasị asụsụ ọzọ, ya bụ na ị nwere atọ na anọ gaa n'ihu. But primarily, an average Igbo speaker, thank you, Kena, is a bilingual speaker because you speak Igbo, you speak English, since we got colonized. We have not made any conscious effort to stop speaking English. It is not even what we are, advocating for. As long as there's life, Igbo speakers will continue to speak English and Igbo. But the problem we now created for ourselves is a problem of running away from our language and embracing the foreign language, which is English, in addition to any other one we learn along the line. That's what leads a person, an Igbo speaker, to be able to make a comment like this. When you think first in a foreign language, mostly English, and want to convert it to Igbo, and when some of the words you are using in that conversation do not seem to be words you can easily find in Igbo, you now make a mess of saying Igbo language is not complete. Okay, how are you? Yeah. So that is the problem. Now, the information we have here that I have for you today is the language is absolutely complete. The sense with which our ancestors expressed their views, the sense with which our ancestors expressed the concepts, the way of life, everything that they did in their lives came all from their language. Do you think that their life was limited? No, it wasn't. The only thing is, we have a more global view of the world to see the world. So, ihe anyị na-akọ wee bụrụ ihe dị iche na ndụ ndị nna nna anyị ha biri bụ na nke anyị na-ebi taa n'ọnọdụ ka anyị si ele asụsụ anyị anya bụ anyị nwere ohere anyị ndị mba ụwa ọzọ na-emekọrịta ihe nke na anyị nwere ike ile ihe gbasara ụwa anya site na anya obodo ndị ọzọ, mana ndị nna nna anyị ha ndị gboo bụ ndị n'ụwa ha ihe ha maara bụ ihe gbasara gburugburu ụlọ ha na gburugburu ụwa ha. Ha nwere okwu ha na-eji ekwu okwu zuru oke na ihe gbasara ụwa ha na ndụ ha n'Igbo. Nke ahụ wee gaa na-aga n'ihu ruo mgbe e wetara anyị asụsụ ndị ọzọ na omenala ndị ọzọ, nke bụ ọtụtụ ihe niile gbasara ndị ọzọ, ka ndị ọzọ si ebi ndụ, Ikenna ndewo, ka ndị ọzọ si ekpe okpukpechi, ka ndị ọzọ si eme amara, ka ndị ọzọ si amụ nwa, ka ndị ọzọ si alụ di na nwunye, nke dị iche na etu ndị nna nna anyị ha si bie ndụ ha, nke dị iche n'ebe anyị nwa etu esi mụọ nna anyị ha na anyị nwa na ihe niile gbasara anyị dịka ndị Igbo. Anyị wee nwezi ohere na anyị na-ejizi nke ndị ọzọ atụnyere nke anyị. Ya nwa mere ụfọdụ ji na-ahụta asụsụ anyị dịka ihe na-ezughị oke iji kwuo okwu n'ọha na ọgbọ. Mana nke ha abụghị ihe kacha wee iwe maọbụ jọọ njọ maọbụ jọgbuo onwe ya na ụzọ anyị si akpasị asụsụ Igbo anyị agwa. Ihe ka njọ na ya bụ na anyị na-ewerezi asụsụ ndị ọzọ ahụ, ndụ ndị ọzọ ahụ otu ha si ebie na ihe niile gbasara ha were nọchie anya nke anyị nwa. Ọtụtụ n'ime anyị wee na-ahụtazi ihe niile anyị na-ahụta n'anya ndị ọcha. Ihe niile anyị na-eme anyị wee jiri anya ndị ọcha wee na-ahụ ya, mana ụfọdụ n'ime anyị amaghị na ndị anyị na-eṅomi, ndị anyị na-eche na ọha ka anyị mma, na anyị ka ha mma n'ụzọ niile dị iche iche n'okpukpu n'okpukpu. You all don't know that, right? Now, I'm going to touch one other aspect of this topic today before we begin to round off. Every language, we were taught there's a process of what we call acquisition versus learning. Learning language. Asụsụ Igbo ha abụọ bụ mmụta asụsụ. Ma ọ bụ ọmụmụ asụsụ. Nke a bụ ọmụmaatụ ọzọ mmadụ nwere ike iji sị, asụsụ Igbo ezughị ezu. N'ihi na ọ na-atụ anya na Igbo ga-enwe mmụta which is acquisition, nwekwa mmụta which is learning. N'ogo ihe m na-akụziri gị taa enweghị asụsụ mkpụrụ okwu ndị a dịka esi nwee ya na Bekee na Igbo otu a ka ọ dị, right? N'ihi na ihe Igbo maara bụ mmụta. Ihe Igbo ga-eji egosi ndịiche dị na ha bụ oge. Okay? Nnachi daalụ. Nnachi CNN, ị na-arụ na CNN. Ihe Igbo maara ọ ga-eji egosi ndịiche dị na mkpụrụ okwu abụọ na iji gosi ha abụọ bụ oge. Gịnị ka m na-akọwa n'oge? Oge eji mụọ asụsụ. The time at which the language is being learned. And that's what, both of them indicate. Even though you can use this for this at any time. Okay? But I had to use this to really indicate the time. The time. So time creates the setting that gives us the reason to use acquisition or learning. All right, let me stop that there and continue with this. In terms of learning a language, these two words are prominent. Language acquisition versus language learning. We use acquisition primarily for a situation when a baby is born and in an environment where language is available and that baby is naturally exposed to a particular language, one or two or three, by his or her environment. And that baby, who becomes a toddler later on, will begin to acquire that language or those languages as they grow. That is acquisition. Amụọ nwa, ndị mụrụ nwa ma ọ bụ onye mụrụ nwa nọ na ebe o nwere ndị ọzọ ya na ya na-ekwukọrịta okwu dịka mmadụ ha bụ. Mmadụ na-ekwu okwu. Nwa ha amụrụ nọ n'ogige na gburugburu ebe ọ na-anụ ihe ndị ọzọ na-ekwu dịka ọ na-eto kwa ụbọchị, dịka ọ na-aṅụ ara, dịka ọ na-aṅụ mmiri, aka na-echu ya mmiri, nwa ahụ na-anụ ka ndị ọzọ si ekwu okwu, wee na-esi na ihe ọ na-anụ na ka ha si emegharị ọnụ si na ihe ọ na-ahụ wee na-amụta ihe ndị ahụ na-ekwu. Mgbe nwa ahụ na-ekwu asụsụ ahụ ọ na-anụ site n'ọnụ nne ya, n'ọnụ nna ya, ma o nwere ụmụnne ma ọ bụ ụmụnne nne ya na ụmụnne nna ya, site n'ọnụ ha niile ndị ahụ gbara nwa ahụ gburugburu, asụsụ ahụ nwa ahụ na-anụ ka ọ ga-eji wee hiwe ka o si ahụ ụwa, which is what the English people call world view. Okay? That child will begin to form his or her worldview based on what they acquired. That worldview is formed from the language that the child hears, and the language carries the culture that the child is exposed to. Now, we were told that as a child begins to grow, there's a certain amount of vocabulary the child begins to learn in that language that they are acquiring from the childhood. I hope to see people ask me questions on this particular phase of the discussion we're having. Dịka nwa ahụ na-eto, ka ọ na-eji ihe niile ọ na-anụ wee na-emebe ụbụrụ isi ya wee na-eto, ya na-aghọta ka ụwa si aga, ka ụwa sitere. Asụsụ ahụ ọ na-anụ ya na omenala ya so na-aga. So that moment, the child is doing what they call acquisition. Thank you. So text. So at that moment that is being formed, we are told that that child is also learning vocabularies. And there's a certain amount of vocabulary a child that is learning language acquires regularly. Depends on what age the child is in of that particular language. This process goes on, according to science, up to 5 years. The first 5 years of that child's existence in this world. That baby that you have in your hand now, if you are a nursing mother, if you are a new father, if you are living in a place where you have a child around you who is still within the first 5 years of their lives, this is continuously going on in the brain and head of that child up to 5 years. If it is one language, that language becomes the language of immediate environment of that child. If it is more than one language, those languages become the languages of immediate environment of that child. Now, where we get it wrong in our world today as Igbo people, parents, is whether you are able to change it or not, whether you have a control over it or not, is where our child is born. The language of their immediate environment is not Igbo. Onye nne, onye nna. Nwa ahụ iku n'aka, nwa ahụ ịmụrụ ugbu a, ịmụrụ ụnyaahụ, ịmụrụ izu gara aga, ọnwa gara aga, afọ gara aga, ọ ka nọ n'ogo n'orube afọ 5. Asụsụ nwa ahụ na-anụ kwa ụbọchị ọ bụ gịnị? Ọ bụ Igbo. For most of us, it is not. In this era, today, this is the undoing of Igbo language. This is the menace that has become of Igbo language. That child you bear in your hands, that you cherish so much, you love so much, you want to raise in the fear of God. With what language are you transmitting the worldview to that child? The language of that child's immediate environment, is it Igbo or Chinese, French, France, Indiana, Germany? Because onwezi nke anyị na-ha asụ, onwekwere nke anyị na-ahazi amụta. Achọrọ m ịkpọ English ka ha na m ahụ English na ka ha bịrị ka m kpọrọ English asị. What language is that child learning now? Ibibio, Efik, Yoruba, Hausa, Folofolude. On our language in the banditry. Hey, Nwafibo, this is a question for you. If you are an expecting mother, expecting father, that child you're going to have tomorrow, irrespective of where you live, as at today, what language? Success said there's a more reason to make your home their immediate environment. Home as in home. Which home? Is it village as in where village people are? Which home? Success. Is it village people's home? Right. People define home with different definitions. I see you. Now, I'm stressing this for us to know, see the need of what I am talking about. The need for every parent to introduce Igbo in the immediate environment of a child born today. Irrespective of where you live now, you are having a child now, you're going to have a child tomorrow, you have a child in the next 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. Igbo nwa fu Igbo. Asụsụ gịnị ka nwa ahụ ga-eji ebido mmụta okwu? This is important in the life of that child. Remember, nwa ahụ, for some of you, 3 years up by Igbo school, 2 years up by Igbo school. For me, each of my child starts school the next, immediately after Omobo. Each of my children, immediately after Omobo, they started school. Because my wife and I have always seen out the greater part of our lives spent in school. We have always been teachers. And our children had the privilege of starting their lives in school, not quite long after they were born. But the question is, before that child begins to get exposed to school and whatever that is learned in school, remember I brought the idea of the notion of schooling versus education to us last week. How are you? Remember I tried to give us the understanding about this too. The child is supposed to have been exposed to a language even before they get to school and begin to hear what the teacher is teaching them. For those of you living abroad, living overseas, living in European, Western world, this is one of your nightmares. If you will tell yourselves the truth. Ndị Igbo bụ ndị jiri ịgụ akwụkwọ kpọrọ ihe, right? Ịmụta ihe kpọrọ ihe. But we have come to the level, we have really gotten to the level, we thought that ịmụta akwụkwọ na ịma ihe na ịma izu. Dịka ụfọdụ ndị na-esi ekwu na ọ bụ site n'ụlọ akwụkwọ naanị ka o si apụta. So you're going to have to send that child to school as early as possible so that they begin to learn school. Forgetting that that child's learning begins at home, just like Success said. At home, right where the parents are, right where the caregivers are, right where the immediate family members are. That's where learning is expected to start from. And in this process, and within this time, within this period, that learning has a substance of language. The question is, what language is that? For that child to be able to acquire, to get to the maximum vocabulary acquisition in that language they're learning, there must be an early exposure. If that child is not exposed, if that child is not exposed to that early learning, which starts from home, which comes with the language, I will use Igbo now, they will not be able to form adequate vocabulary in Igbo language that they are expected to form by the time they are hitting 5 years. Ọ bụrụ na nke a gaa n'ihu, nwa ahụ agaghị enwe ọtụtụ mkpụrụ okwu n'Igbo ọ ga-eji ekwunwuru onwe ya ma ọ bụ kwuoro ndị ọzọ okwu n'Igbo. For those of us that are adults who learned Igbo language while growing up by way of acquisition, and now went into school and started speaking English, you can bear witness, because of the way English is being elevated over and above Igbo. You now have spoken English to the point that it is also very difficult for you to sometimes express yourself in Igbo comfortably without looking for vocabularies to fill in what you wanted to say. You see how difficult it is, right? Now imagine a child who did not have that experience you had. Imagine how difficult it is for that child. Imagine how scarce vocabularies, words in Igbo will be for that speaker. Then imagine how scarce Igbo vocabulary will be for the next generation. Imagine that. This is why a person will comfortably think and express that Igbo language is not complete. What can we do? Gịnị ka anyị ga-emenwu? Kedu ihe anyị ga-eme? Ụmụafọ Igbo, kedu ihe anyị ga-eme wee gbanwee ọnọdụ anyị nọ n'ihe gbasara asụsụ anyị? Kedu ihe anyị ga-eme wee kwụsị iche na asụsụ anyị ezughị ezu? Otu a sị na otu enyi nwoke, I think so, sị na ihe mere ndị ọ bụrụ na Igbo onye Naijiria, ịma ndị a na-akpọ ndị mmọnwụ. E bụrụ na Igbo onye Igbo, ịma ndị a na-akpọ ndị mmọnwụ. Ya bụ ndị ụmụnna anyị ndị Kalaba. Na ihe mere ndị mmọnwụ ji asụ nyam femfem bụ na mgbe Chineke na-enye obodo ọbụla asụsụ ha, Chineke wee na-agbatu wee na-abịa, ndị mmụọ wee n'olu Chineke wee gbalaga wee daba n'okpuru bed gazo. Mgbe Chukwu bịara nyeche onye ọbụla asụsụ, nyeche ndị obodo ọbụla asụsụ, ọsịọ mkpụjọ maka ndị mmụọ asị na onwe ya ma ebe ha nọ, so oke ngwa ha sụrụ ihe ọbụla dị ha mma. Ha sụrụwazi ihe ọbụla dị ha mma kawa. Ya bụ anya azụ mmanya nyam. If you know Okon of Lagos, oh my God! So when Umuafi Igbo is trying to express themselves in Igbo and they lack the vocabulary, As soon as they hear the Hamagu, you can imagine how the next generation of Igbo will become. They will become a people who will now be speaking whatever they like. Biko ọwụ na ndị mụọ nọ na klaasị a biko nọ unu gbaghara m ọkwa mmụọ kwuru ya. Oh, akụkọ akọrọ anụrụ m ya na ntị. Oh my God. So, but I mean, that's on a lighter mode, okay? Like, imagine the next generation of people. So my question, gịnị ka anyị ga-eme? We are in a very precarious situation. We're in a very delicate situation and in a very delicate era. And why I'm saying this is that the generation of people who were born, grew up, acquired Igbo language is gradually phasing away. The generation of people who were born, who had Igbo language as their only language of immediate environment is going. This generation, we have seen them that they also, amongst them are people who believe that Igbo language is not complete because of their exposure to other languages over time since after colonialism. And now they are giving birth to the generation of people, most of whom are not getting exposed to Igbo language in the first 5 years of their life. What will become of this next generation who will not be giving birth to those who have no Igbo in their lives at all until something maybe happens to draw them to their supposed linguistic identity? What will happen to Igbo language? Will it not be a situation of Igbo language is not complete? It's coming from a fallacy position. It's coming from a fallacy point of view. What do we do? What do we do to create more opportunities for younger Igbo children to get early exposure to their language, the language of their immediate environment? You are a mother, you are in this class. You are a father, you are in this class. Your child is being born outside of Igbo land, growing up outside of Igbo land, irrespective of where that is. Learning, hearing other people's languages more often than they hear Igbo, than they learn Igbo. Does it not bother you that lots of Igbo families whose children were born in Yoruba, they speak 3 languages first? English, Pidgin, if possible, or Pidgin where it is a middle class, lower class family, English and Yoruba, or only English at all. Some English, Yoruba, and Pidgin. Does it not bother you that Igbo children born in the northern part of Nigeria speak Hausa, English, and any other one? Or English only, or Hausa and English, or Hausa and Pidgin before Igbo? A little of Igbo. Maybe Igbo is, I can hear, but I can't speak. I can hear a little. You can hear. Kadimbo mechie gị ntị, rapachie gị ntị, cameraman naghị anụ ihe. I can hear a little. To know that asụsụ Igbo bụ nke anyị, onye mara ihe dị mma ka enye aka, enye ya ụmụ ya ngwa nke Igbo amaka. What that means is, if you know that Igbo language is yours, expose your child early to the language. You are a speaker of the language. I still ask you whether you choose to answer me now or not. The question should continue to ring in your head. What should you do as a parent to expose your child to the language of their immediate environment, which is supposed to be Igbo, as soon as they were born? What can you do? For some of you who come here wanting to have an Igbo teacher for their children, I commend you. Excuse me. I commend you greatly. But what do you do as a parent in addition to that teacher, the work that they will be doing for you? Do you compliment the effort of the teacher teaching your child Igbo? Do you support it or do you kill it? Ị na-enyere onye nkụzi na-akụziri nwa gị Igbo aka? Maka unu nwa ndị na-achọ, ndị na-agba mbọ hụ na nwa ha nwere onye nkụzi na-akụziri ha Igbo. Ị na-enyere ha aka na nkụzi ahụ ha na-akụzi ka ị na-egbu ihe ha na-akụzi site na ụmụ gị lọta gị na ha na-asụ asụsụ ọzọ na-abụghị Igbo? What role do you play as a parent? It's a question that you must always face every day of your life. Whether you are the ambassador of all countries, exposed to all languages or not, your child has an emptiness, a vacuum, if they are growing up without an adequate exposure, early exposure to their first language, the language of their linguistic identity. Your child has a minus in their lives because of that. So, your child will grow up tomorrow, not only to say that Igbo language is not complete, but at all that Igbo language is not a language. I have heard and I know a person whose child, born overseas, asked the question, "Daddy, why are you all answering all these names that are not pronounceable?" He was talking about his own last name. Why don't you all answer Smith and John Doe and Bush and rice and beans and kettle? Why don't you all answer these names? That's what a son was asking his father. Some downplay the importance of Igbo language before their children, like someone who doesn't know mathematics getting a math teacher for their kids and still tell them it's not about mathematics. And I think it's not some, it is many. That's my opinion. It is many. That is to say that it is not enough to get an English teacher, rather an Igbo teacher for your child. You know, just like a math teacher will be doing his job and then you are back home and downplaying the work they're doing. It is not enough to get an Igbo teacher for your child. What are you doing to support that work that teacher is doing? Because without your own work, without your own effort, you are wasting your money. You're wasting your money. I teach young people as well. I have been teaching young Igbo children of different ages, including Dinangara. Including Dinangara. How about leaf and rats? Names without meaning. They answer all of them now. They answer rats, they answer leaf, they answer bush. That's what the son was asking the father. Why do you all answer these names that are unpronounceable? Why don't you answer Smith? I want you to answer bush, beans. I teach every age, Ikenna. So I don't know what age you mean by elderly. I do adult education, if that's what you mean, Ikenna. So, I mean, I am an all-round teacher. I've been teaching language for a very, very long time. So, I also know what it means practically when, after all your teaching, the parents are not following up in reinforcing your teaching back home. I also know what it means. Ọ na-agba anya mmiri, ọ na-enye mwute. It makes your work more difficult. It makes it more strenuous and unenjoyable. But in many cases, that's what happens. Sometimes parents don't have the time. That's what it is said. They go for the easier one. And if this child is one that has already formed their language using English, it becomes more difficult. You see the parents speaking English to that same child, ikuzicheri ihe ugbu a na class. Cheesy say, I am sure I've won the latecomers crown. Thank God you said it yourself, Cheesy. Very soon, I'm going to in the deliverance ministry. They deliver you from the spirit of late coming, Cheesy. But it's good that you made effort to come. You know, I always like to have you in the class. You make the class lively. And you make sure that there's conversation going on. Chidera comes here to Kundewo. Or working at Tetanora Chidera. Or working at your class. Go on a cheesy waterage. It's all right, cheesy. Right, so today's topic is something I have thought it is important for us to bring to the class to discuss. I do not know how it concerns you personally. Yes, Odozi Akuchinwe, ọ sị na anyị na-ahụkwa ụdị ihe a n'ala Igbo. Ọ nọ ebe niile n'ala Igbo because ọ ndị Igbo na-eme ya. All right, Chidera, eche m ugbu a ka ị na-abịa. Ọ ndị Igbo, ndị nne na nna Igbo na-eme ya. Ọ ha. And ihe anyị na-akọwa n'ihe gbasara ka anyị si akpasa asụsụ anyị agwa. Onye ọbụla maara na ọ ndị Igbo ka ọ ka njọ. And ihe anyị na-eme na klaasị a bụ dịka mgbe ọbụla ị gara church, ọrụ onye ụkọchukwu bụ meghee Bible ka ọrọ gị preach ka amara ma nwere ihe ga-agbanwe na ndụ gị. And because he's getting something out of it, he continues to do it, at least all his livelihood. But in this case, this is me standing here every week to sound this alarm because I am getting satisfied if the message is being passed on. There is fire on the mountain for Igbo language. And how long can we continue doing this? How long? How long will Igbo language continue to suffer in the hands of English and all of them? How long? Ndị Igbo sị, atụọrọ ọmara, atụọrọ ofeke, efenye isi n'ọhịa. Ikenna ndewo, ya dịrị gị na mma. Igbo sị, onye maara asụ sụọ n'ikwe, mana onye na-amaghị asụ sụọ n'ala maọbụ ụfọdụ Igbo sị sụọ n'apata ụkwụ ya. Igbo sị, otu mkpụrụ okwu zuru onye maara ihe. Igbo wee na-ajụzikwa sị na mbe jụrụ ụmụ ya niile sị, ihe ole ga-eme gị tupu gị mata ihe? Ugboro ole ka ihe ga-eme gị tupu m ịpụta ihe? Okwu ndị a dịrị anyị. How long are we going to continue to allow our language to be littered right before our nose, our faces. Our mouth cannot behold the speaking of our language, the sustaining of the words and vocabulary of our language. Our brains cannot process in our language and understand adequately our expressions. How long can we continue to live as people cloned by others, as if we are living for others? We are living to please others. We are living to promote others except us. How long can we continue to project and promote the ideology of foreign languages? To project the cultural nuances of foreign languages? How long? How long shall we continue to be asleep rather than to stay awake and wake other people who are asleep? This is why we have Omenka app. This is why we have created Omenka Igbo Action Group. And I expect you to join that group on Telegram. If you are on TikTok, go to our bio and join that group. This is why we've created the resources Omenka app is using, bringing and presenting for people who are willing to learn Igbo. Ihe ole ga-eme anyị ka anyị wee mụta ihe ụmụafọ Igbo. Let us improve the attendance of this class, because the conversations we have here, they are invaluable. They are highly invaluable. They are very, very important. This is my conversation with you today. Ndị TikTok, ọ dịzị ka mgbe onye ụkọchukwu na-ekwu okwu metụrụ onye ọbụla n'ahụ, ụmụ riri njọ unu na-eme ma unu gaa unu biri ndụ unu n'izu o ruzie na chọọchị, onye ụkọchukwu bido ebe ahụ ajụ onye ọbụla oyi. Ihe m na-akọ jụrụ unu ahụ oyi. Emetụrụ m unu aka ebe ọ na-enye unu nsogbu. Ndị TikTok enwezi ihe m na-anụ olu unu na onwezi olu unu na-ewepụta. Udo ọdịkwa. Marty, how are you? Marty, bụ nwa afọ Igbo. I see you have another country's flag. All right, I have come to the end of today's class, and we are going to take up a different topic in the next week. We will continue to do what we're doing. Those who are fortunate enough to be part of this movement, you are fortunate. Do not take it lightly. Do not expect that this is all about me coming here and standing here to teach you every day, every week, and to preach about this. It doesn't help. It doesn't. He said, no, I'm not ready for it to end. Oh, okay. Well, I have to take care of other things that I have for the day. My time is already gone. So if you want to sustain the conversation, sustain it in the Omenka Igbo Action Group. That's why we created the group. After the class, we continue the conversation there. Now, nobody is shouting, tell them. Nobody is shouting, preach on. Yes, there will be. Yeah, so we have the need to continue this conversation. Why I'm saying that is, if today you are a young unmarried, a young person, a young single person, you don't have a spouse, you don't have a child, you will have tomorrow. The foundation of how you will start your child's life depends on what you know today. What work can we do to continue to learn Igbo and grow? That's what I'm asking you. Is a personal question. That Nwosu is a personal question. But I have provided you with opportunities. Number one, finding this class today that you did. Number two, downloading Omenka app. Number three, joining the Omenka action group on Telegram. And then continuing in other activities that we are doing or will be bringing out in this movement. You have a role to play. Ịbụ onye ihe ọma kpọrọ ọ bụrụ na iso na ihe na-eme n'ihe a na-eme iji kwalite asụsụ na omenala Igbo. Ọtụtụ ihe dị nke ndị mmadụ niile dị iche iche na-eme. Họrọ nke dị gị mma. Ndị ụlọ anyị sị aka nke dị gị mma gị ji ehiri isi gị, because it's up to you. When we talk about it in general as Igbo people and our language, there are those we might regard as gatekeepers of the language. They do everything within their power in their lifetime to do that, to teach. But then it resides on the parents and individual lives. When you say, like Obinna is saying, teach Igbo culture and language to the young youth, which youth? Which youth? Your own or other people's own? It begins with you in the family. That's just it. Begins with you in the family. If you cannot demonstrate that your own child or children are those who are familiar with their Igbo language, are able to speak and understand, fine. You cannot begin to make noise out there. But if your children cannot, and you don't even have the moral standing to talk to another person's child, what can we do as Igbo people? What can we do as parents? What? And success says, keep speaking Igbo to and around your children. Okay? Keep speaking Igbo. Obinna say Igbo youth, but then definitely start at home. Okay, I agree. Obinna Dewo. It starts with you. It starts with your family. It starts with your children. You must enculturate them before you think of enculturating other people. And like I said, if you are seeking an additional help through a teacher, online teacher or whatever teacher, you have a huge role to play. The work cannot be left for the teacher alone. If you do that, or you end up disabusing the minds of the students and the children after the class, you are still not helping out. So if we can do it on individual notes, fine. We cannot influence the general Igbo population. That's what I say. So akin to that, we will meet in the next class with another topic. And what is next week's date? Today is 20. And next Monday is the 27th. We're going to come with a new topic. Thank you, Obinna. If you are signing up, I hope you got the website. And I hope you can find the link on Telegram to join the Telegram group. And when our website, when our app has completed the lesson plan, that is going to be a huge, huge benefit for those who want to continue. Okay. One other thing you can do for those who are really into promoting what we do, we have shop online. Omenka is all about everything about Igbo. For all things Igbo. If you are living overseas, Canada, UK, America or so, we have a shop on, is it Spread Shop or something? I can't even remember that, where we sell some of our products and you can purchase that. Yeah, the Spread Shop Omenka app. You can go there and see some of the things we do, we produce there. It's all about Igbo. Project your identity. Yes, Obinna, you are in the Telegram group. Make and do also matter na Igbo nwa afọ Igbo. You start your journey by showing how proudly Igbo you are. The list 247 HGC Ndewo. You should begin. You that have found this class, whether you joined this class today for the first time, you've come here a number of times, it is yours responsibility. For those of you in Nigeria, and we also have some products we are marketing that you can use to proudly show that you are Igbo, all about Igbo. Show it as much as you can. And the next week, we are going to see you with a new topic. Obachinta, Kaichukwano no orange. There will. All right, in the YouTube. Daalụkwanụ.